Hello friends, today we are going to discuss a very interesting historical play by Girish Karnad, the famous Indian dramatist who wrote his plays in Kannada language, but later on his plays they were translated into many languages and in English also. His plays they were staged and they were a great success. Especially Tughlaq as a play was a great success on the stage. But before we begin talking about the play, trying to find out the intricacies of the play, let us find out about the life of Girish Karnad, because the writer behind the play, the kind of influences which are there in his life, they are very important in the shaping of the artist. Girish Karnad was a noted actor. For ease of understanding and better assimilation, I'll be covering my lecture under the following heads: Early life and education of Karnad, his career, plays by Girish Karnad, structure of the play Tughlaq, plot of the play, characterization, comic in the play. Playwright and a film actor, a director, and a multi-talented person. About his early life and education, Girish Karnad was born in Matheran near Bombay in Maharashtra in a Saraswat Brahmin Konkani family. It was a very conventional family where he belonged. He was, apart from being a brilliant scholar, he was widely read. When he was a young boy, he got the opportunity to be exposed to the theatre of those times. His father was a doctor. He was posted in Sirsi, Karnataka, and he was exposed to theatre in the company of his father. He used to go and watch the Natak company plays and the Yakshagan plays. He was an ardent admirer of Yakshagan and the theatre in his village. So this influence was it was a great influence on Girish Karnad as a playwright, because he had trained himself as a teenager. He had trained himself to be a poet, and that too an English poet. He had worked hard on training himself in the English language. That was his dream, to be a poet. And he was a great admirer of Auden and Eliot, the modern day poets, and that was his aim in his life. Now, upon graduation, Karnad went to England and studied philosophy, politics, and economics. He got a Rhodes Scholarship in the Oxford College. He studied at Lincoln and Magdalen colleges in Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar from the year 1960 to 1963, and then he earned his Master of Arts degree in philosophy, politics, and economics. About his career, we can say that he worked with the Oxford University Press, Chennai for 7 years, from 1963 to 70. During 1987 to 88, he was at the University of Chicago as a visiting professor and Fulbright playwright in residence. He served as a director of the Film and Television Institute of India 1974 to 1975 and chairman of the Sangeet Natak Academy, the National Academy of the Performing Arts, from 1988 to 1993. He also served as a director of the Nehru Centre and the Minister of Culture in the Indian High Commission, London, from 2000 to 2003. So all these, the career, he had a highly, a bright career and an illustrious career he had, and that was all a result of his early training, his great scholarship, his love for history, his love for the Kannada drama, which had great influence on him. Girish Karnad, one of the pillars of modern Indian drama, who was a versatile genius, initially wrote his plays in Kannada. There are many plays in Kannada. The famous ones, Ma Nishad, which was a one-act play. Yayati was his first play, which was published in 1961. The next play, Tughlaq, was published in 1964, and it was translated into Hindi by B.V. Karnad. Major Indian directors who have staged it were Ibrahim Al-Kazi, who staged the English version, Prasanna, Arvind Gaur, Dinesh Thakur, and Shyamanand Jalan, who staged the play in Bengali. It was a great success on the stage. Vadan, also one of his famous plays, was published in 1972. Anjali Malige, 1977. Hitina Hanja Aka Bali, The Sacrifice, was written in 1980. Nag Mandala in 1988. In the English title of that was The Play with Cobra. Tal Dand, 1990. Again translated into English with the title Death by Beheading. In Hindi it is known as Rakt Kalyan, translated by Ram Gopal Bajaj. First directed by Ibrahim Al-Kazi for NSD, the National School of Drama. Then by Arvind Gaur in 1995 to 2008. It was a very famous play and it ran in the theatre for a very, very long time. For Asmita Theatre Group, New Delhi. So it ran for a very long time. Agni Mattu Male, 1995. Agni or Varsha in Hindi. The Fire and the Rain in English. First directed by Prasanna, again for National School of Drama. So there were famous directors and actors also who wanted to enact in the plays of Girish Karnad and staged by National School of Drama. So that was a very great achievement of Girish Karnad. Then the next play, Tipuvina Kanasugalu, and that was about Tipu Sultan, the dreams of Tipu Sultan in English. Then Odakalu Bimba in 2006 in Hindi. The Hindi translation, the title was Bikhre Bimb. In English, the title was Broken Images. Madhuve Album 2006, Flowers 2012, Benda Kalu on Toast in 2012. So as we can see from the titles, many they were taken from either history or they were taken from the Indian myths. And Girish Karnad, a very well-read dramatist in many of the languages and many of the plays written in Kannada. So his sources, they were really very, very great and very good sources. Then we come on next to the plays in English, which were translated from Kannada language, about more than 11-12 in number. Tughlaq, Vadan, Bali, The Sacrifice, Nag Mandala, Tal Dand, The Fire and the Rain, Dreams of Tipu Sultan, two monologues, Flowers and the Broken Image, Yayati, Wedding Album, Boiled Beans on Toast. When we talk about the structure of the play Tughlaq, it is a combination of opposites. It is a dramatized projection of Tughlaq's tortured self, divided self. Tughlaq, the protagonist of the play. So the external action throughout enacts the inner drama of Tughlaq, the protagonist. Both Tughlaq and his enemies initially appear to be idealists, but they perpetrate its opposite. The conflict of opposites begins with the first scene. The difference can be seen in the thinking of young and old Muslims who have different views about the Sultan. The young feel that the Sultan has got new ideas and he will prove to be a good emperor, and the old Muslims feel that Tughlaq has given a lot of free hand to the Hindus and he has some new policies which are against the tenets of Islam. Sultan has, in his heart of hearts, he has got the theory of equal justice for all, but there is irony in that also. A Muslim gets the benefits in the guise of a Brahmin, Vishnu Prasad, whose land has been confiscated by the state, by the government officials of the Sultan, and the Muslim Dhobi, Aziz, he comes in the guise of Vishnu Prasad and he gets all the benefits. He wins the case against the Sultan. Then there is Hindu-Muslim unity, and for the sake of that, Tughlaq transfers the capital of his kingdom from Delhi to Daulatabad. To achieve that aim, the ideal aim, he takes hasty steps without taking into consideration the wishes of his own subjects. He gives orders that the capital of his kingdom will be shifted right away from Delhi to Daulatabad, and his reason was that he wanted to have Hindu-Muslim unity in his kingdom. His dream of an ideal and strong empire, they are shattered. In the end, the emirs and the religious priests, they opposed him severely. Few of the main of them, they were Sheikh Imamuddin, who was a very well-known and a respected religious priest of the Muslims. Then Ainul Mulk, his own dear friend, whom he had given a lot of power, and he was very benevolent towards Ainul Mulk, but Ainul Mulk stabs in his back and he is marching towards Tughlaq, the Tughlaq's capital, his kingdom's capital, Delhi, to gain victory over the Sultan and become the Sultan himself. Shihabuddin, a trusted friend, a loyal friend, and the emirs, all of them together, they hatch a murder plan. After much bloodshed, Tughlaq had to revert the capital back to Delhi. The Sultan claimed that his state was to be free from corruption, but the officials of the state, they took bribes, they filled their own pockets. There was religion against politics, that is, the religious leaders, they were against the policies of the Sultan, who was the head of the state, the Sultan of the kingdom. Muhammad himself had power, knowledge, intelligence and talent, yet he was cruel and crafty. Sheikh Imamuddin and Shihabuddin, they were saintly and worldly enemies respectively, yet they had their own weaknesses and could become his friends. Sheikh Imamuddin, who had come to Delhi to talk to the people of Delhi and make the people of Delhi revolt against the Sultan, he got tricked by the Sultan and he became his friend, and he was ready to go and meet Ainul Mulk for a peace treaty where he was killed. So Sultan, the great intriguer, he achieved his aim to remove two of his enemies. Then Tughlaq had divine aspirations, but he was a deft intriguer. Divine aspirations were to create a kingdom where there was peace, harmony, love, brotherhood, and everybody would be equal, both religions would be equal, given equal respect. But divine aspirations were frustrated in the end, and he went mad and was doomed. Then we come to the plot of Tughlaq. The plot of Tughlaq is not according to the rules laid down by Aristotle regarding drama. Karnad has flouted the unities of time, place and action, because when the play begins, the scene is in Delhi. Afterwards, on the road from Delhi to Daulatabad, and then in Daulatabad itself, and so time also, it is of 5 years. The places are also different, and the action takes place in these time frames and the different places. So unities have been flouted. Reported and staged murders make the play a horrible tragedy. Karnad weaves the story of Aziz and Azam with the main tragic story of Tughlaq. Aziz can be called as a parallel with the character of Tughlaq. Azam is his friend and a party to all the deeds that he does in the play. The irony is deeply tragic because Aziz used all the schemes of Sultan for his own benefit, and in the end he also murders Ghiyasuddin, a Basid, who had been called from Arabia to wash away the sins of the kingdom of Tughlaq and to begin the prayers again. So Aziz kills him and comes in his guise to purify the land and revive the banned prayer, and that he does after murdering Ghiyasuddin. Karnad weaves romance and tragedy together. So there are romantic elements along with the tragic elements. So and then Karnad manages to create suspense in the play. Everyone's fate is awaited with bated breath. The fate of Ainul Mulk, of Sheikh Imamuddin, of Shihabuddin, of many of the religious priests who are put in prison, and then the fate of Najib, who is the Wazir of the state, a trusted lieutenant of the Sultan. He also gets killed, and then the Sultan's stepmother also gets killed. So Karnad manages to create the suspense in the play. And to develop the plot, Karnad has used suggestive methods. He doesn't tell the things directly, rather he suggests many things. Apart from the main plot, that of the story of Tughlaq's last 5 years of his reign, there is also a subplot that has been introduced to provide comic relief. The story of Aziz and Azam has been made very relevant to the purpose of drama, as the deep scenes, along with the deep scenes, we have the shallow scenes. That Tughlaq, in the play Tughlaq, Girish Karnad has, taken from he has been influenced by Shakespeare, where Shakespeare introduces the comic scenes in a tragedy to provide comic relief. So Girish Karnad also has done the same thing. Then there are many artistic devices used, such as humor, irony, parallelism, romance, and tragedy have been used by Karnad to make the play a success on the stage. Drama basically is an imitation of an action wherein we have living beings whose characters and personality is revealed by their thoughts and their actions. The play Tughlaq is about the life and existence of the protagonist Tughlaq. As Karnad says, he had hit upon a fantastic character from history. Tughlaq was a unique character to come to the throne of Delhi in religion, philosophy, battlefield, even in calligraphy. And anything we think of, he outshone everyone. The character of Tughlaq has been portrayed in great psychological depth. In the play Tughlaq, there are certain existentialist elements. Existentialism is a form of philosophical inquiry that explores the problems of human existence and is based on the subjective experience of thinking, feeling, and taking action. Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, theologian, poet, and Nietzsche, the German philosopher, are the pioneers of the philosophy of existentialism. They explore the idea and view of human will and supremacy of the existence of the humans as the highest species of living beings in this world which is godless and it is mysterious. Existentialism is a modern philosophical movement whose roots can be traced in the works of Jean-Paul Sartre, Franz Kafka and others, who philosophize into the subjectivity and freedom of humans in converting their feelings and thoughts into action. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the main character in the play, he makes a sinful choice at the beginning to achieve a lofty ideal, to transform his thoughts into action, as he wanted peace, love and brotherhood to prevail amidst the different communities in his kingdom. He wanted to treat all his subjects as equals. His religious policies, they were quite liberal. He was one of the first Muslim rulers who was very liberal and tolerant towards the others, and he dreamt of establishing a secular kingdom. So the first sinful choice that he made was of killing his own father and his brother, though not directly but indirectly. So he committed patricide and fratricide right in the beginning. Muhammad bin Tughlaq is overambitious. His only concern is to gain supreme power and translate his thoughts and ideas into actions, and whatever came in the way of his progress, such as religion, morality, politics, and even reason, he just annihilates everything. Sheikh Imamuddin could understand all this, and he warns him. He says, "Beware, Sultan, you are to become another god." So in this play, it is about the life and existence of the protagonist Tughlaq, and we find a true depiction of existentialism in his character. He is strong-willed, wanted to establish the ideal, but in the process proves to be a cruel and a crafty intriguer who was later on called Mad Muhammad. We come to the next character, Sheikh Imamuddin, who was a revered Muslim saint. and he was against the policies of the Sultan, and he had made the people in Kanpur rise in revolt against the Sultan, and he wanted to do the same in Delhi as well. He came to Delhi with that very intention, because the religious leaders, they wanted to get together and remove Sultan from the throne so that Islam could be saved. So Sheikh Imamuddin, when he comes to Delhi, he meets the Sultan, and somehow his intentions, they are not translated into actions as the Sultan, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He does not allow the people of Delhi to come and hear to Sheikh Imamuddin and his speeches, which could have roused the people of Delhi to revolt against him. So in this way, the crafty intriguer that the Sultan was, he somehow manages to make Sheikh Imamuddin agree to his plan of going as an emissary of peace to his enemy, his powerful enemy, Ainul Mulk, who was marching towards Delhi, to meet him and talk about peace, love and brotherhood. And he wanted to give the message that if the two armies of Tughlaq and Ainul Mulk, they clash, the lives of many Muslims would be lost. Sheikh Imamuddin gets murdered in the process. He also makes choices. He had come as an opponent of the Sultan, but then he chooses to be a friend. And in this process, he loses his life. So Sultan, the crafty intriguer, is able to remove two of his enemies, eliminate two of his enemies, that is Ainul Mulk and Sheikh Imamuddin. Shihabuddin was a trusted and loyal friend. He also is ensnared by the noblemen and the religious leaders into revolting against the Sultan. Because he's a loyal friend of Sultan, so they thought that the Sultan would not have any kind of doubts when they go and meet the Sultan. And these people, though Shihabuddin also, was a loyal friend, but he committed treachery. Karnad's characterization is based on the principles of life, amalgamation of contrasting elements, that is fire and water, earth and sky. Tughlaq is an idealist, contrasted with the practical human beings, the intellectual and spiritual against the earthly. The mother of Sultan against the stepmother. The mother of Sultan did not she believed the rumors that Muhammad bin Tughlaq had got his father and mother killed, and she stayed away from the Sultan. On the other hand, the stepmother was a wise woman, and she gave all her blessings to the Sultan. So the mother and the stepmother also, they are contrasted. There are other main characters like Najib, the Wazir of the Sultan, who was a politician to the core, and he turned the schemes of the Sultan into reality. He was a true follower of the Sultan. He is pitted against Ziauddin Barani, who was a historian in the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then the contrast is shown in the thinking of Aziz and Azam, which enhances the interest of the play. Aziz's story runs parallel to that of Sultan, and there is a contrast between ideal and the real, loyalty and treachery, religion and politics, Islam and Hinduism. So these are seen throughout the play. In Tughlaq, Karnad presents the universal traits of men in power and the common man in general. So they are the universal traits which have been shown by the dramatist. So in the play Tughlaq, which is a tragedy, the tragedy occurs because of Tughlaq's impatience to implement his policies and schemes and force his will on his subjects. The failure of his schemes, they cause immense frustration, and towards the end he is completely alienated from his subjects. His well-wishers and loved ones are no longer with him. His stepmother, even Ziauddin Barani, who was the historian and a dear friend, he leaves him in the end because of the sinful actions of the Sultan. So the Sultan faces frustration, isolation and loneliness, which is the result of the choices that he makes in life regarding his thoughts, feelings and actions. So all the actions, they come to a naught, and that causes a lot of agony and suffering not only to the Sultan himself but to all his subjects. His crimes and their after effects come to haunt him, and he undergoes great spiritual and moral crisis. So in such a tragic play, the introduction of the comic is a great necessity, because it gives a lot of entertainment and the interest is created in the play, and it is for relieving the tensions that are created by the horror scenes. So for that, Karnad follows Shakespeare and the folk drama in India in the introduction of the shallow scenes with the deep scenes, the serious scenes. The comic elements can be seen in the absurdity of situation, in various places and scenes in the play. Right in the first scene, where a Muslim dhobi who came in the guise of Vishnu Prasad the Brahmin, and he got justice, which is very ironical. That the justice was to be given to a Hindu to show that the Sultan treated his subjects equally. So he gets all the benefits out of that. He is later on recognized by his friend Azam, and he says that you have done a wonderful job. Absurdity of situation can be seen when Aziz and Azam, they come across a person who looked like a beggar. He was in fact Ghiyasuddin Abbasid, who had come as a messenger of peace to the kingdom of the Sultan, and he was a descendant of the Prophet of Caliph Abbasid. He had come from Arabia to bring peace and to begin prayers again. So Aziz and Azam, they meet him, and they are in the caves, and when Ghiyasuddin tells who he is, Aziz hatches a plan and he murders Ghiyasuddin Abbasid and goes in the guise of Ghiyasuddin Abbasid to the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq in Daulatabad. So there is absurdity of situation, then the conversation of Aziz and Azam, where Aziz is the clever person, clever one, and Azam, He is called foolish by Aziz at many places because he is not so intelligent as Aziz is. Aziz, whose story it runs parallel to the story of the Sultan, and there is a lot of humor in various scenes from beginning till the end of the play. So comic uh, elements have been introduced to relieve the tensions created by the horror scenes in the play. That is very important, and that also makes the play more interesting. So on the whole, the play Tughlaq is a very interesting play. It is not just a historical play, uh, it is the study of character of the Sultan in great depth, great psychological depth, and all the other characters who are just dramatized versions of the character of Muhammad bin Tughlaq.